Hi folks, G3 here, and welcome to another instalment of my journey to go green. Well folks, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoy it, then please remember to click the like button, and also if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you get notified when I load up a new video. Right, let's get on with the video. In today's episode, I'm going to be clearing out the shed, cleaning it, preparing my tools for the season ahead, so that's oiling them, sharpening the ones that need it, throwing away any rubbish that I don't need, being quite strict with the things that I haven't used over the last year and that I'm not going to be using. It's an opportunity for me to tidy the shed, make sure that everything is back in order, that I can easily find things for the season ahead, that I've got space to work in there, and that obviously it's clean, tidy, free of cobwebs, and that everything else is generally in a good order. It's my spring clean. So let's get on with it. So here we can see the state of the shed at the start of the season, and it kind of gets in this way because at the end of the year I know I'm going to be doing this the following spring, so I tend to be a little bit more relaxed about where I'm putting things. So like I've got some pots up on the top that I'm going to be storing down below. I've got extra bits and pieces that have been put down here, like there's a snow shovel and some other bits that I'm not going to be using. So I will pull everything out of here, give it a good tidy, and then get it all back in again. So let's start the process. Okay, so what I've mostly done at the moment is cleared a chunk of underneath the desk and on top of the desk and the main floor area, and that's all in the garden at the moment, and that's freed up space for me to move from one area to another and clean within there. So I've gutted enough for me to be able to clean effectively and move things around. So I've now got some floor space free here and here. So my first plan of attack is to get the cobwebs out from the top up here, clean the shelf, and then I'm going to start putting these bits back on once I've gone and chosen if I need to get rid of anything. The process worked quite well last year, and it will then free up space on the bench for me to move things down from the other shelves and to work around it in that way. Got some stiff brushes to help with the cleaning, and because there's going to be dust flying around, I've got my mask which has a filter in, so it'll keep some of the dust out of the way, hopefully. Now this section over winter got a bit damp. I think it must have been the angle of the rain coming in on the window, and it came down through. So it's good that this has had an airing now and mostly dry. Okay, so that's everything dusted down, brushed down and cleaned. Top, bottom, moved those bits out. So the next stage to do is to pop the bits back in under here, the bits on top of here, and to start cleaning the tools and getting those ready. So let's get on with that. So here we are with a tidier shed. Everything underneath has been tidied. There's more floor space available, things are around the outside. It's clean again up on the side. Everything's a lot tidier. And the next job, of course, is the tools are missing. So I need to prepare those, and we'll go through that now. Next stage is for me to look after my tools and maintain my tools. I try and make sure that at the start of the season I've cleaned them, oiled them, sharpened them if they need it, so that they're good for me to use for the season ahead. I've got less expense needing to buy new tools. So a lot of these I've had for many years. They've been handed down from my parents, grandparents. Others I've picked up at boot fairs and second hand, because they're perfectly fine tools. If you look after them and maintain them, then they're going to be perfectly usable tools and you don't need to go and buy new ones. So it really doesn't need to be an expensive hobby. One of the things that I have got that I treated myself to though was Burgon and Ball #1 white oil for garden tools. And I've had this for several years now. I don't need much at all each year. It lasts me for a long time. It was quite expensive. It's 125 millilitres. I don't remember what it cost, but it was quite expensive. But because I don't need much, it lasts for a long time. And what I do, and you don't need to buy things specially, so this is an old tea towel that I'm using here. You could use an old t-shirt or something similar, cotton t-shirt, and it's just impregnated with oil and dirt. But I just make sure that I get a little bit of fresh oil on there, and I'll be rubbing that in. So that's oil and the cloth. I'll also be using a stiff brush to get rid of any stuck in dirt. I've got my tools to work through, but equally I've also got, now this is a Fiskars kit intended for secateurs and other bladed things. So it comes with a file for being able to sharpen or clean the tools, and there's also a bottle of oil. I've also got this diamond encrusted, I think is probably the right word, sharpening stone here, whetstone I think they call it. You can loosen it and then it will go back into hideaway, but I keep it out pretty much permanently because I'm using it lots. So tighten that. It's got a flat side and it's got a curved side. I find this extremely useful. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is getting through some of the easier hand tools, and that is just a case of cleaning them by using the brush to get rid of any dirt. Now this, I think I bought new. It was relatively inexpensive, just a little simple fork. But right, so that's brushed off. I'll just need to give it a little bit of oil, so. It's a very clear oil, and I just dab it onto the cloth in a couple of places like that. And then it's just a case of rubbing in to the metal area of the tools to protect them and make them last a bit longer. Same with these, give them action with a stiff brush. This one's got quite a bit of dried dirt on there. I mean, ideally you should always be regularly looking after your tools, cleaning them, making sure they're in tip-top condition. And I will do that once I've used a tool, especially if it's been in a wet condition, I will clean it off, re-oil it. But one way is just at the start of the season, just making sure that I'm getting everything in order. Right, that one's clean. And that one. A little bit of fresh oil. Not sure how well you're going to be able to pick that up on there, but it's got a bit darker with the layer of oil on there, and that's in good condition now. Same with this one. There we go. So it doesn't take long per tool, just collectively when you've got quite a few tools it takes a while. That's why I set aside a day to do all of this and get it done. It's just really satisfying at the end of the day to see all your hard work and the end result. Nice clean shed, freshly prepared tools. It's yeah, very satisfying. I've done it probably later this year than I would normally because I haven't really planted any seeds as yet. I've had a few that I've done on propagator and started off, so some aubergines and chilies, but I haven't got anything else in yet, and we're what, mid-April. It's just been a bit cold and yeah, not particularly had time to set aside for a whole day of doing this. So this is my first opportunity really. But now, I'll once it's all clean in there and I've got space to work, I'm easily going to be able to start getting some seeds sown and ready. It's the kind of task that I can easily do in a lunch break when I get an opportunity. Just nip out here and do a little bit of planting, seed sowing. Next up, we'll go through the secateurs. Now I've got quite a collection of some really old ones, so they're my older ones. I have a vintage one that I picked up from a nursery, so that's a real old bypass secateurs. And you wouldn't know it, but I only bought these a couple of weeks back, and I've already been using them, so they're nice and sharp. These are Spear and Jackson. They were a little treat to get some really nice, fresh new ones. So I've got to make sure that all of these are in good condition. And I've also got these little snips that are extremely sharp, and they're very good for just doing little bits of pruning off of bits when needed, tiny little bits, leaves and the like. But they're very sharp. I think probably easiest is I'll show you on these. So I'm going to do the sharpening first, and what I want to do is get the edge that's going against, so that's a flat edge there that's going to be going past the edge there, and I'm going to want to get the angle, or take this side down so that it's got a cutting edge when it goes down there. So I use this, I'm going to use the flat side of this to, now part of the reason for doing it without first cleaning the rest of the thing is that you can really easily see how it's taking off a layer through doing this and getting an angle there so that we've got a sharp edge again. And it really helps having a sharp edge on these because it's better for when you are doing pruning. It's a cleaner cut, means you're not going to be damaging the plant, and there's less potential for damage and for disease to enter into the plant if it's a nice clean cut. If I do that, then you can hopefully see that there's an edge developing. And I'll just carry on around this, getting a nice edge across all of it. But the fact this is impregnated with bits of diamond means it's really, really strong and cuts through and makes a nice sharp edge. So give that a little bit of a clean now. You know, these get quite a bit of a battering through the season. Lots of use. They'll get laid down on the ground and forgotten about, and yeah, so they take a bit of battering, well mine do anyhow. So it's good to give them this nice clean. So as well as oiling the secateurs themselves, or the surfaces of the secateurs, I'm also going to be getting some oil into the mechanism as well to make sure that it's moving well and operating well through the season. I'm just doing this on all the metal parts. I'm not worrying about anything else. It's just to help the metal parts. Okay, so I've given that an oiling across all the main parts now. So what I'm going to try and do is just get a little drop in any of the pieces that are going to be moving, and then just giving them a movement to make sure that it's getting in there. Working the mechanism. Already the noise has changed. It's quieter, a lot smoother. I'm not putting much on at all. There's quite a bit of oil in this bottle. I'm not putting much, it's just a little drop. Also I put it in the spring here just to ensure that that's moving, free from rust. That is a lot better. Good pair of secateurs now. They will last me another season. So I need to repeat this on these as well. Now this vintage pair, I love the look of them at the garden centre. There's two sharp edges with these, whereas the other ones it was a flat edge that the blade was going against. These are two curved ones, so I'm going to have to sharpen both sides of these. Can use the rounded edge on this. Seeing as the blade's a bit curved, I think that might work a little bit easier. Now all of this one is metal, so I make sure I oil all of it, including the handle. And then again, it's a case of making sure all the mechanism is oiled, moving it freely. Lovely. I have no idea how old this is, but it's clearly done a number of seasons and it's ready for another one. Right, my new ones could really just do with a clean. It's only a couple of weeks ago I bought them, so I don't need the maintenance, they just need that clean because they're already getting a bit grubby. They're a lot cleaner. Now we're on to some of the heavier implements, some of the heavier tools. So forks and spades. This fork is a very old one, old wooden handle and the metal end. It's very very old, passed down from my parents and theirs before. Make sure the tines are oiled. Just a little bit of care means it will go on for another season. The oil's nicely in the tines there, so that's all good for the season. An old hoe, I believe it's still the same handle, and top it's not a Triggers Broom scenario. It is all the same stuff, I'm fairly sure. Hoes are really good for getting through weeds in your beds. Just under the surface, you're just sort of dislodging the weeds and breaking the roots and lifting up onto the surface to dry out on a warm sunny day. You know, you can pick them up from a boot fair or for next to nothing, so you don't need to spend a lot of money. This one is ancient, it still does the job, it's still perfectly fine. What you do need to do though is make sure that it is quite sharp on the end, which is something that maybe people don't necessarily do, but because you want to break through the weeds, it just helps if it's got a sharp edge to it. So I will be using my sharpening tool on here. So let's give it a bit of a sharpen. Good. And rub with the oily rag as well. You can see when I'm rubbing, or hopefully you can see that it's getting darker as the oil's being impregnated in there. And because this is such an old tool with obviously metal that comes into contact with the soil and gets wet, it just pays to give it that protection with the coating of oil. Cool, good, good, good. Apparently you can never have enough hose. One wasn't enough. It is obviously wise to wear gardening clothes when you're doing this kind of thing, because I've been getting oily stains all on my jeans, so they're going to need a good wash. For my washing, I use a product called soap nuts, which have a natural source of saponin, which is a soapy product. It's used in some countries for washing directly, and so I use soap nuts in mine. I'll include a link up here to a video I've done showing about using soap nuts. It's worth checking out. I've got a few of these just for when I've been working with other people here, my parents and Mrs. G3, then you know, it helps to have a few tools just in case. Many hands make light work and all of that. This is my spade that gets most of the action. A bit more comfortable, but you can see it's been well used and well chipped. So it's important I give it a good edge. Again, I'm doing this because obviously when you're digging in to the soil, you want it to cut through easily. And so if you've got a sharp edge on it, then it's gonna help. Who needs gym membership when you're a gardener? There's always something that's giving you good exercise. Right, this needs a bit of fresh oil because it really gets quite a workout during the season, so I need to make sure it's fully protected. There we go, any of the exposed pieces, just having a bit of a covering. Good, good, good. And here we have one tidy shed. I can see some floor space, which is fantastic. Shelves are tidy again. All the tools are ready for the season ahead and in place, sharpened, oiled and ready. There you go, folks. That's me doing a spring clean of my shed. Taking everything out, cleaning it all out, tidying the tools, cleaning them, sharpening them, oiling them, and then getting them all back in. That's my once a year task done, and I'm glad it's done. Feels good. But that's it, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then click the like button down below, and if you haven't done so already, then why not subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you get notified when I load up a new video. Well, until next time, bye.